Hey guys, what's up? I'm here with a review of a drama horror comedy from 2012 from a director, which I've seen one other movie from him. It was a short 18-minute, it was like an 18-minute long short film called Excision. Tonight's movie is called Excision as well. Tonight's movie is his full-length, I'm pretty sure it's his first full-length feature, and it is based on his short film, Excision, which is an absolutely fantastic short film. I highly suggest you check it out. Now, I really like the short film of it. Will I like the full-length movie? That's something that I have yet to find out, but we are going to find out right now. So, this movie is about a disturbed high school girl who is kind of an outcast. She's kind of like Carrie White from Carrie, obviously. She's kind of like Carrie White from Carrie, and except basically she's more open to people, and she's very delusional and disturbed mentally. She wants to pursue a career in medicine, and she also wants the approval of her mother. So, yeah. Now, I already know, like, there's this big kind of, like, thing at the ending, and I know that this movie is mostly just, you know, it doesn't really go anywhere until you get towards the end of the movie. I've heard this because of reviews I've read and seen, and, so I know it's not like I know it's not, you know, like the story doesn't continually move throughout the entire thing, but I know it moves pretty well and it keeps you interested, and I know what happens at the end if it's, you know, if this is a remake of the short film. I know what's gonna happen at the end of this film, or towards the end of the film, so. Yeah, but basically it's like this really messed up girl's day-to-day life, and she has all these twisted fantasies about necrophilia, and she preserves like dead animals and stuff like that. At least that's what I can remember from the short film. So this is going to be an interesting one. No doubt this is going to be interesting. I hope that it's at least as good as the short. But the only way I'm going to find out is if I go and I watch the damn thing, which I'm going to do right now. So the movie opens with our main character, Pauline, in a dream sequence, which there are many of them in this film, and she is masturbating while watching herself choke on her own blood. Not a bad start. So at this point when I was writing, I was only about a minute and 30 seconds in, and I already absolutely hated the mother character, just like I did in the short film. I will admit she is a good actress. She's just playing a complete fucking bitch, so it's hard to like her. So later that day, she's in health class, and she asks the health teacher, you know, can I get an STD from having sex with a dead person? And I will admit, I laughed my ass off at that part. So, she then goes to her psychologist, who isn't actually her psychologist or psychiatrist. It's her reverend, who is played by John fucking Waters. Now, if you don't know who John Waters is, well, give me a moment. John Waters directed the trash classic Pink Flamingos, and his follow-up to Pink Flamingos, Female Trouble, and the original Hairspray in the 80s. So, yeah, he has quite a big name for himself among the exploitation film and horror film community, and it's funny because he's playing a reverend and he is homosexual. So, then we have her in class, and she starts praying about, well, before she gets to class, she prays about how she wants to lose her virginity. And then we meet her math teacher, who is Malcolm McDowell. If you do not know who Malcolm McDowell is, he is quite possibly one of the best, actors to ever be in a Kubrick film. He was Alex in A Clockwork Orange. If you've never seen A Clockwork Orange, you don't know anything about me. A Clockwork Orange is one of my favorite movies of all time. And his performance here is absolutely amazing. We have the, I also I knew about all these cameos ahead of time, but there's also a third cameo in it, and the cameo is from Ray Wise. If you don't know who he is, he played the father of Laura Palmer in the TV show Twin Peaks. If you haven't watched Twin Peaks, I highly suggest it. I highly recommend you check it out. It's a really, really awesome TV series, and this is coming from someone that hasn't finished the series yet. I would still highly, highly recommend it. I should say this, the acting in this film is not the best I've ever seen, but it is still pretty good from everybody. Everybody turns in a good performance. The writing here is also pretty good. Pauline is a very likable character in a kind of like fucked up and quirky way. The younger sister is likable in the way that the younger sister in Grave of the Fireflies is likable, in the sense that, she's a very sad character, but also, kind of adorable at the same time. Kind of hard to explain. The mother, as I mentioned, is a complete fucking cunt. She's annoying. She whines over the smallest little things. I will admit, like, some of her, complaints and arguments are valid, but for the most part, she just whines about the tiniest thing. The first thing she bitches about is her husband leaving the toilet seat up. And I know for some people that's a big, big deal, but I live in a house where it's, like, mostly girls. There are only 2 guys in my house, and then the other 4 people in the house are women. And we do not have this argument at all. At all in this, we don't have this argument, like, ever. She's literally as annoying as the mother in Escape from Tomorrow, who was another character I absolutely hated. The father, he is very, very likable. You really pity him for being married to such a, bitch, but same way you pity the main character in Escape from Tomorrow. So, the other characters are also very well written and thought out, and, yeah. The dream sequences in this film are very, very, they have a nice kind of bright color visual style. And they're really surreal, colorful, very well shot. The film itself is very well shot. Everything from a technical standpoint, lighting, camera work, sound mix, and music, those are all very, very solid. The effects in this movie are also really, really good. And before I get to any other part of this, I should go ahead and say this right now. If you would like to know which one I prefer, the short film or the feature-length film, I'm going to choose the feature-length film. It has a lot more style and a lot more content. And while I will say that, like, for a short film, the original Excision is also very awesome, it's, I don't know, it just can't touch the feature-length film. Although I will say that the dream sequences in the short film, while there aren't as many, obviously, there's they have a very, like, dark color palette, which helps the film have a bit more serious tone and helps it be, like, actually disturbing. Unlike the, dream sequences in this one, which, while they are pretty, weird and surreal and graphic and creepy, just with the bright color palette, it's hard to be unnerved by it for me, personally. Now, I've heard people say that this movie is disturbing, and I can see why if you are, not desensitized like me to this kind of stuff, or if you're not into, like, gross out humor or dark, transgressive humor. But honestly, I would put this movie like up on the shelf with stuff like Pink Flamingos and Wetlands. Like this is some really good transgressive kind of shockploitation, gross out humor comedy. And this also has a lot of horror elements to it as well, which is amazing. But since it is the nature of the beast, on the disturbing meter from 1 to 10, 1 being something like a Pixar film, and 10 being something like a Serbian film, Gummo, Come and See, or anything else that I've rated very high on my top 10 most disturbing movies list. This movie is about a 3 or 4. It really isn't that disturbing, even by my standards. Even by, I mean, I'm sure if the only, like, you know, extreme horror movies you've seen are, like Saw and Hostel, I mean, I'm sure this movie would probably surprise you quite a bit if you don't know anything about, like, surreal cinema, if you've never watched any, like, weird surreal movies. But because I wasn't really surprised by it. So, I mean, if you've had a little bit of experience with the horror genre and you've seen a few like, more weird surreal movies, then I think you could probably handle this without any problem. On the gore meter from 1 to 10, 1 being something like Nosferatu and 10 being something like Brain Dead, it's probably a solid 5. There is a lot of gore and surreal, you know, gross moments here. But honestly, even though, like, every single gross and violent scene it feels like it's kind of played off for laughs, or just played off to be stylized and, like, really cool looking, it still is graphic, and it's still, you know, gross. It's just that I found a lot of the scenes to be pretty funny. So all in all, I gotta say, I really, really liked the movie. It's, I mean, I would definitely say it's a modern horror. I'm gonna have the balls to say this. It's a modern horror masterpiece. It is definitely not for everybody, but if you are into, like, weird, surreal, violent horror films, then this is one I would probably highly suggest. It's kind of like a combination of, I don't know, it's like combining the kind of characters and nihilism of something like a Gummo with the surreal aspects of I don't know, like the surreal aspects of something like Audition. I mean, all I gotta say it's a visual treat. It is really nice to look at, and yeah, it's definitely worth checking out if you haven't already. So yeah, I'd give it a 5 out of 5. It's definitely better than the short film, but they're still both very awesome, and I'd still highly recommend both of them. I will probably link the short film in the description, so look in the description for that. 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10. I absolutely loved it. I'm gonna pick up a copy of it as soon as possible. Anyway, guys, check out my new Kickstarter project. The information is in the description as well. Peace. So anyway, guys, if you liked the video, like my channel, be sure to like this video, favorite it, whatever you want, and maybe subscribe perhaps. I would really, really appreciate that. And check the links in the description below. There are links to things like my Tumblr, Twitter, all that, Facebook. All that is in the description below. Hey there, kids. Do you want to get cool stuff in the mail like this? Or this? Or even this? Well, then subscribe to Horror Block today. Have you ever wanted to do cool cosplays like this? Or even this? Well, now you can. Subscribe to Moonchild Cosplay on YouTube, and you can see all her tutorials on how to do cool stuff like this. Do you want to get cool horror and exploitation film t-shirts like this? Or this? Or this? Well, then go to RottenCotton.com to check out all of their premium t-shirts.